Hello, Dr. Revis here, and this is CHEM 111. And what I'm going to do is review Chapter 1 of CHEM 111. All right, so the way I do this, I'm going to simply read through the slides and share some things to watch out for your exam. Um, Also note that there's some practice problems out there. Occasionally you will find some typos in those, so just be aware of that. I've cleaned up a few typos today, as a matter of fact. So be aware of that occasionally in some of the practice there's some typos. It just happens occasionally. All right, so let's go through Chapter 1. We're going to go through slide by slide and share some things to watch for. Um, the first slide talks about micro MAC and micro. We won't talk very much about this, but just be aware that MAC is for the large scale and MIC is for what you cannot see. Otherwise, you won't see very much about that. We talk about the scientific method. We will only need to be aware of the definitions for these. There may be one or two questions that will ask you about what a hypothesis. Do you think this is a hypothesis or an experiment or theory and observations? I'm on the scientific method slide now. So just the definitions there. That's about it for that. Again, definitions, law. Just be aware of those definitions and theory. There aren't, frankly, that many definitions on the first exam, but you'll have to look at all of them so you'll be ready for the ones that might be on there. Okay. Classification of matter. You'll do the classification of matter by examples, and we'll show you some examples. Now we're going to cross the topic of solid, liquids, and gases throughout the semester. So a lot of questions related to solid, liquid, and gas you'll hear later in the chapter as we go through it. Okay. So just be aware of pure substances. They come from the periodic table. You'll know that. An element, a compound, they're going to be on the periodic table. Best way to know it. Heterogeneous, if you can easily separate it, and it's heterogeneous. If you can't, it's homogeneous. Now, the one that tends to trip students up the most involve gases. When we have heterogeneous mixture of gases, so be aware of that. That's one that I like to ask a lot about. So it'll probably be on there. Probably a question about gases on there. The answer will be heterogeneous mixture. Solids, liquid, gas. Again, knowing the difference in the states is important. Oftentimes, I don't exactly ask you to give me the definition. I use the definition and expect you to know that's what it's talking about, and that's what helps you to answer the question. We're on to the slide now. Pure substance, elements, and compounds. Again, from the periodic table, you'll know that's those from the periodic table. If it's on there, it's a pure element. If it's a combination of what's on the periodic table, it's a compound. Periodic table, you'll be learning more about the periodic table as we go, so not as much on Chapter 1 here. Identifying mixtures, just talked about that. I'm moving along here at a pretty good pace. Again, definitions. Physical and chemical properties. I'll ask you a question or two on physical and chemical properties, and what will happen is more times than not it'll be like one question where you have to label it as physical property, chemical property, or physical change, chemical change, and you'll have to know the difference between a physical change and a chemical change. You also have to know the difference between a chemical property and a chemical change. A physical properties are those that it is what it is. That is just the nature of it. So don't forget about color. That's the one that bothers students the most. Color is a physical property. Density is a physical property. Be aware of that. Let's see, what else can we tell you here? Not much else. I think you'll do okay on those just by doing the definitions. Know the SI units, difference between SI and American Standard units. We expect you to write units in the SI system and metric system. So if I ask you any questions on the exam, be sure that you're thinking metric, okay, and SI. All right. So be aware of that. You must start to think metric and SI because we use a combination. I mean, in Gen Chem, we will say it's SI, but actually sometimes it's metric. So just be aware of it. In terms of conversion factors, I'll give you most of those on the exam. Others we just kind of expect you to start to know. Oh, here's one. on the slide about volume, we allow you to simply say that 1 mil equals 1 centimeter cube without showing that conversion. So if I write mils and you need the answer to be in centimeter cube, on your paper write 1 mil equals 1 centimeter cube. I tend to allow you to do that without showing me the conversion. Okay? And as we go, I'll tell you others that we will allow you to show us without showing the conversion. Okay? So be aware of that. But this is one that you just can simply do the conversion. I mean, show the conversion without showing the process for it. So if you have to do mils, if I give you mils and it says and I want the answer centimeter cube, write on your paper 1 mil equals 1 centimeter cube, and you can go directly without showing me that conversion. I always allow that one. And there's some others we'll allow as you learn to do the unit conversion. And I'll tell you, okay, you don't have to show me that one anymore. Just tell me that one. Okay. Let's see, what else should we tell you? Oh, accuracy and precision. With the accuracy and precision, the questions I tend to ask involve data. I'll give you a set of data, and I'll ask you to interpret that data and tell me whether that data is accurate and precise, precise and not accurate, not precise. So that's what I'll do. So it'll be data on there. So it'll be data, and you'll have to give me your opinion of what that data means. Is that precise data? Is it accurate? Is it precise and accurate? So you'll want to get used to using that. So I don't show you a bullseye. I give you data. All right. And when I'll give you the data, make sure you pay attention to the variance in the data, the plus and minus. That'll give you a good idea of how close you should be to the target. So for example, if someone says plus or minus 2, that means you could go 2 under the target or 2 over the target, and that's acceptable. But if you go outside of that, then that's less acceptable. So that's the type of data you'll see. So it will be data. Sig Figs, know the rules. Right-handed zeros, okay, mean there are no decimals. Left-handed zeros, there are decimals. So you have the no decimal right-handed rule or the decimal left-handed rule. So you'll have to count Sig Figs, and each time you do a calculation, make sure you report the final answer bracketed in Sig Figs. I like to see your calculator value and your Sig Figs value. So be aware of that. In carrying out calculations for me from now moving forward, I want to see the calculator value. That's before you round it off. And now if your calculator has 20 digits in it, please don't give me 20. But maybe you give me 5 decimals out there. Okay, so use some reasonable, value when you're doing that. I don't want 20 numbers, but certainly it'll give me, if it says 15 point and 15 numbers behind it, don't give me 15.1. You get it? So give me enough to show me that you round off. Okay. So Sig Figs, you just have to know how to count them, and you have to do the math with them. And each time you do the math, I will be your final answer. I'll look for Sig Figs. What else? I'm thumbing through the slides now. Let's see what else I should tell you. Conversion factors. I expect to see the crossbar. You have to show it to me. Do not show this to me in ratio proportion. I will take away points. Okay? I know you understand ratio proportion. You can do it that way. I get it. No problem. Except we're trying to teach you the dimensional analysis process. That's why we're doing it this way. It's not that it can't be done another way, but we want to make sure that we teach you this process. So make sure you do your crossbar. And start with a given. Write your given, crossbar, units match your given. If you don't have units, you're going to lose points. So that's dimensional analysis. Some dimensional analysis may require more than one step. I am comfortable if you stop at one step, write an equal sign, get an answer, and then start a new process. But I would love to see you start to learn how to do it where you don't stop. Okay, and there will be, when you get to chapter 3 and 4, I won't allow you to stop. I want to see it as, if it requires 2 conversion factors, I will want to see it in one sentence. What else can I tell you about conversion factors? I think you'll do okay on those just by that. Density equals mass over volume, and don't forget that the density for a solid is different than the density units for a gas. A gas is in gram per liter, and the density for a solid is gram per mil or gram per centimeter cube. Which, if you interconvert those, make sure you round the paper. 1 mil equals 1 centimeter cube. So, for example, if I ask you for it in liters and the density in milliliters, you're going to have to make that conversion. So be aware that 1,000 mils equals 1 liter. You'll want to know that conversion factor, but I'll probably put it on the exam. But that's when you want to start to just know in your head that 1,000 mils equals 1 liter, or 1,000 centimeter cube equals 1 liter. So be aware of that as well. So that's probably it for density. Density displacement, be aware if it displaces a volume, that's the volume that you'll use, the mils. But if I ask for it in liters, then that means you're going to get the mils and you have to convert them to the liters. So be aware of that. The Fahrenheit, degree C, I don't recall yet whether I'm adding a question on here, but you'll see this enough times later. So it's possible that I don't ask you, but you want to memorize the formulas anyway. So that's different. That's about it. Scientific notation. We expect you to be able to write it in scientific notation. Remember, large numbers have plus, small numbers have minus. Okay, and that's about it. So just a little bit of rambling to let you know what to expect. There's going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 questions. If it's 10, it's not a lot of them, by the way. That means they're quick answer. That's why they're 10. I think I have this one set where it's going to be a point per everything that's on there. So, and right now I think I'm running about 5 to 7 questions. And I'm going to try to sell it down between now and Wednesday on that. So it'll be a lot of quick answers. The exam will start exactly on the hour that your class starts. Do not, next Wednesday, do not report to the classroom. Do not report to the classroom for the first exam. You'll do the exam at home. As soon as the exam's done, we'll go right into the lecture. We will start right on the hour, and this exam will finish 20 minutes after the hour. So it will be a fast pace. You'll have to get in, do the work, okay? And take the pic and post it, okay? And you'll hear more about what we expect you to do in the posting. So we'll probably go to 25 after, because I'll probably get 5 minutes worth of instructions. I'll upload it, and from the time you see it, the pic show up on the screen, you'll have 20 minutes to complete it and post it. All right, that's enough talking about the exam. So we'll see you on Wednesday for the exam virtually. We will be in teams. Do not report to the classroom next Wednesday. All right, take care.